The moment Claire stepped onto the lush garden lawn behind the Community Arts Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, she felt her heartbeat tighten, an instinctive warning that this day would test her peace in ways she wasn't ready for. Sunlight shimmered across the picnic tables, laughter floated through the warm afternoon air, and the scent of fresh cedar drifted from the wooden benches arranged for the outdoor event. Everything looked calm and beautiful, yet inside her, something trembled, something she thought she had finally outrun. Because just seconds after she arrived, the world seemed to tilt as she saw a familiar figure crossing the gate. Her ex, the man whose memory still bruised places she didn't want to admit were tender. And before her breath could steady, she felt a gentle hand slide across her back, warm and grounding, as Aaron turned toward her, concern flickering in his soft brown eyes. That was the moment she realized she wasn't ready for this collision of past and present, and every heartbeat echoed with a quiet, rising panic she could no longer hide. If you believe in kindness, new beginnings, or second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support truly keeps stories like these alive. Claire's chest tightened with an ache she hadn't felt in years. She had built so much of her healing on distance, on morning walks alone, on journaling, on gentle prayers whispered in a quiet apartment as she tried to rebuild the faith she once had in love. Her ex, Matthew, represented everything she survived: the emotional storms, the silent treatments, the way he made her feel smaller every time she tried to stand tall. She wasn't afraid of him anymore, but she feared the version of herself she became around him, hesitant, unsure, fragile. She didn't want Aaron to see that version, because Aaron was different. He was sunlight where Matthew was shadow, steady where Matthew was uncertain, and kind in a way that didn't demand anything in return. She had known Aaron for 4 months, yet her heart rested around him as though it had been waiting for someone like him much longer. The moment Matthew's eyes scanned the crowd and landed on her, Claire felt an invisible cord tighten around her spine. Her pulse quickened, her hands instinctively curled, and she took a single step back. But before her panic could rise, Aaron caught her waist lightly, not pulling her in but steadying her, grounding her like an anchor against a sudden wind. She leaned closer without thinking, almost collapsing into the safety he offered without needing a single word. The air felt thin, fragile, almost trembling between the three of them. And in that moment of overwhelming vulnerability, Claire quietly whispered the only truth she could manage, soft and trembling under her breath. "Please, hold me close." Aaron didn't hesitate, not out of possessiveness, but out of instinctive protection, the kind that comes from gentleness rather than pride. He wrapped his arms around her with the exact firmness she needed, enough to reassure her, yet tender enough to let her breathe. It wasn't about claiming her, it was about sheltering her heart. The music from the outdoor speakers continued as though nothing had shifted. But inside Claire, everything changed. Instead of crumbling, she felt herself rebuild in real time. Aaron's embrace wasn't a shield from her past. It was a reminder of how far she had come. She allowed herself to rest her head against his shoulder, the warmth of his shirt calming the tremor in her hands. She felt safe, and the world, just for a moment, softened its edges. Matthew slowed his steps, hesitated, and then stepped back as if realizing he no longer held any place in her orbit. Claire didn't look at him again. Her eyes stayed on the space between her and Aaron, on the quiet steadiness of his breathing, on the realization that she wasn't alone anymore. The afternoon stretched on, and though the tension slowly faded, Claire felt a lingering heaviness in her chest. She wasn't running from the past anymore, but confronting it, even silently, had stirred old wounds she hadn't fully understood. Aaron sensed it. He didn't pry, didn't press her to explain. Instead, he guided her toward the quieter side of the lawn, where soft light filtered through oak branches and a wooden bench rested beneath the shade. They sat together, and Claire allowed the silence to settle comfortably between them. She realized that healing wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was simply letting someone hold you without questioning your fears, without asking for explanations, without needing you to be stronger than you were. As the crowd thinned and twilight brushed soft gold across the sky, Claire found herself breathing easier. the earlier storm inside her giving way to a serene clarity. She knew her past didn't define her, not anymore. She wasn't the girl who begged for attention or settled for conditional love. She wasn't the one who stayed afraid of being alone. She had grown, healed, and rebuilt her strength in beautiful, quiet ways. Aaron didn't replace her past. He simply reminded her that the future could be gentle, that love could be safe, that she deserved something soft, warm, and steady. Before they left the event, she looked up at Aaron, truly seeing him in the calm glow of the evening. His presence had become something she no longer feared losing, but something she gratefully held close. Not because she needed him to fix anything, but because he helped her remember she wasn't broken in the first place. She walked with him toward the parking lot, feeling a sense of calm she hadn't expected to reclaim so soon, and somewhere between the laughter of distant guests and the soft rustling of leaves overhead, she realized she was ready. Not for perfect love, but for honest love, the kind that stays, listens, and protects without smothering. As they reached the sidewalk, Claire felt a warm surge of gratitude tighten her throat. The day that threatened to reopen old wounds ended up stitching new strength into her heart instead. She took a breath, steady and full, feeling the quiet triumph of simply choosing peace over panic. And as they walked into the fading evening light, she felt the profound truth of it. He hadn't saved her. He had simply stood beside her while she saved herself. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps more people discover these emotional stories.